Hi everyone, it's so nice to see you all again. Today you could notice that we have a little bit of a change of scenery. We took Twin Talk on the road and we are just a little bit north of our office. We're still in York Region and I'm happy to have our next guest, and it is the Honorable Mayor of the town of Aurora, Mr. Tom Mrakas.
Alrighty.
Hello.
Hi, everyone. Yeah.
So nice to have you here. We came to your office. We took over today. Thank you for allowing us.
No, thanks for coming. I appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to our conversation and maybe everyone getting to know Aurora and myself a little bit better.
Absolutely. So that's the goal of today. Is we realize there's so much happening in the GTHA, and Aurora is one of those places where we're seeing a lot of the innovation and the action taking place. I personally have been following the mayor's journey as a tech entrepreneur. It's really important for me to look at where the talent is going to come from as we continue to develop our tech company. Where would we like to grow? Who are the innovators in the space and in our municipalities that are going to help us get to the next level? And it's really, really nice to see the amazing stuff happening, not just all over Toronto, but especially in York Region. And a lot of you that have been following Collision, especially the last week we were just coming out of it, you can feel a buzz. There's something happening in the city. This northern part of the city is where there's amazing, there's universities like York. It's expanding because of the 407. It allows people and families to, move a little further away from the city. And for someone like myself, I love seeing how planning is having a positive impact on the quality of life for the citizens and the future citizens and investors of the city. So that's why I thought it was important to come here, meet the mayor himself in his office, which is really cool. You guys are going to see a bit of that. But I wanted to start off by understanding, you know, who you are, your journey, where were you raised, and what brought you to this position of being the honorable mayor and raised.
Well, I was born in Scarborough, so I was born and raised in Scarborough. Grew up there. I like the. I guess it sounds kind of like a sappy story, but a son of a butcher, immigrant butcher, and my mother was a stay-at-home mom, and one day I met my wife who lived in Forest Hill. We got married, and we said we can't afford to live in Toronto anymore, and so we needed to find a place. And so we started looking. We started looking Uxbridge, Stouffville. We drove around everywhere to see from an affordability aspect. And we drove through the town of Aurora. We drove through the heart of our downtown core, and we just fell in love. And we said, "This is home." And we started looking, and we found a place here.
Wow. For anyone that's been to Aurora, and if you haven't, I highly recommend you come here. Our drive this afternoon coming up here, we felt so good just seeing all the greenery, seeing all the quality development that's going on here. So I don't blame you because I drove up here with my spouse as well today, and we were just like, hmm, this is awesome. So I completely understand. But growing up now, you see, there's so much development happening in the city. What made you want to get involved, as a counselor, and then, moving even further ahead into your career as a mayor?
Well, I mean, I'm not sure if everyone knows this about me, but I was a painting contractor. I started painting when I was 14, and that's what I did. I ran my own business, and when we moved up here, my wife actually decided to get involved in politics. She actually ran for council, and she was a councillor in 2006 to 2010. She figured it's not for her. She's not going to do it anymore, so she stepped away. But we both of us were very, very involved in the community, volunteering, helping out, whether it was the hoedown, the annual hoedown that we had up here, helping out at some of the meal programs that are within our town. Just always trying to give back and help within the community. And then when 2014 came along, I asked if she wanted to get back into it. And she said, "No, it's not for me." And I said, "Well, what if I did this? What if I, step up, give back, and help, provide a service to the community, and try to make the community a better place for everyone?" And so I felt that I had my business; it was in a good place, that I was able to not have to be there all the time. And so I felt, you know what, I can maybe do this council thing, and because it's part time, and give back to the community. And so put my name forward, and got elected.
Nice. That's amazing. And this was about 10 years ago, I believe, right?
That was 10 years ago, yes.
And what year did you move to Aurora?
I moved here in 2005.
So between 2005 and 2024, what, how, like, it's probably grown a lot. What are some milestones or some things that you've noticed, about the city that have really, made an impact on you and your life?
Well, I'd say, I mean, part of the reason to get involved as well, and to give back and help try to grow the community in a way that I believe that all of us come to this community. There was a lot of growth that occurred, especially on our eastern side, closer to the 404. That used to be all fields. It
Mm.
was all fields. It's a little bit smaller. I guess you could say a smaller town feel. I remember the first night we were out in the backyard in our new home in Aurora, and we sat outside, and I looked at my wife and I said, "It's a little too quiet out here," because we were so used to being, whether it's downtown or in Scarborough, there's always activity, there's always noise. So it took a lot to get used to, but now that we're used to it, anytime you hear just a little bit of noise, you're like, "What's that?" But yeah, so seeing the changes in the growth and development kind of was really what my passion led to get really involved and make sure that our community continues to grow in an appropriate way. And that's always been a really strong belief of mine as far as any type of development that occurs in Aurora.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, in terms of Aurora itself, can you give us some more information about, like, how big is it? What's the history of it? Because I noticed there's a lot of heritage buildings around Aurora, and here in your office, we see a lot of that history. So, can you tell us about, like, the beginnings of Aurora, where it is today, and where it might be going in the future?
Sure. Well, Aurora, 65,000 people. I'd say started off probably with about 2,000, 3,000 people, very, very small town. They did have the railway that came right through the middle of town. And I think that was why, there was the people that came up here to live here, because there was that connection, that easy way to get back to the city. And there's a lot of innovators and entrepreneurs in our community. We had the Flurry Plow, Sisman Shoe Factory that made all the boots for all of our veterans back in the day. So there was a lot of activity here in the town of Aurora. But over the years, it's grown, but it's maintained that charm, and a lot of that historic charm we've protected. And so we want to ensure that our history remains for future generations, and it's a really strong belief, I think, not only for myself but the entire community, that we want to make sure that history remains for future generations, so they can learn from it, they can see it, and they can enjoy it as well.
Absolutely, I love that. And one thing that I learned, especially spending the last week with you at Collision, was that you this what we're doing here in Aurora has a lot. We're learning from what's happening in other cities. So you were in Calgary, and then you made a trip down to Colorado. We'd love to learn more about, like, what was that like? What did you learn, and how can you take some of that and use it and implement it for making a stronger and more prosperous Aurora?
Yes, yeah. So I went to, I decided to go to Arvada, Colorado with a fellow mayor from Stouffville. We went down there to check out their old town area. I mean, as if anyone's aware, that most small urban municipalities kind of have a lot of problems with their downtowns. When the big box stores started coming in, a lot of the downtown started to really fall apart. The stores became vacant because the small mom and pop stores were starting to, not being able to thrive in those areas. And so the downtowns ended up becoming, I don't want to say ghost towns, but they were, empty, and they weren't very thriving. And so we heard about Arvada and what they've done, and they did a lot of things as far as redeveloping the area, rezoning the area, implementing gathering places, having more events in the area, bringing in unique shops, restaurants, bars, creating more pedestrian-friendly, walkable areas, adding in arts and culture, a lot of murals and things like that. And so, when we went through there, it was pretty impressive. And I think there's a lot of things that we can take from there and bring here into our municipalities and we help revitalize those downtown cores. But the one thing that the mayor down there said to us, which I brought back, I told council, I've told a lot of residents as well as she said, a thriving downtown, like a thriving in a smaller urban setting, definitely needs a center showcase piece, a square, so to say, a gathering place, and you need to implement events that attract people to the area. And so, for me, it was very encouraging because that's one of the things that we're doing now. We're developing our town square. It's been something that's been talked about for 30 years. What do you do? And so we finally said, no, we need to move forward. We need to do something. And so I feel we're on the right track. And I think that there's a few of the other things that we can start to implement as well to help really spur that revitalization. But the square, from what I heard from the mayor in Arvada and from what I hear from others, and what I believe is going to be a catalyst to that revitalization.
I completely agree, because in many cities and countries that we visit, we notice that a square is a place to bring people together for celebration and activities. And now when there's so much happening, it's a good place to for people to congregate, to have social gatherings, for innovation to take place, and for cultural events like July 1st is around the corner. It would be nice to bring everyone together into one place.
Absolutely.
And we see that in Mississauga with Celebration Square. So I completely agree with that. And in terms of densification and attracting companies to Aurora, like, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I know I'm biased. I'm not going to lie. I'm biased. Obviously I'm the mayor of the town, so I'm going to think everything about the town is great. But I think that we've planned it a certain way that I think allows us to have growth in an appropriate way from a business perspective and from a residential perspective. We're perfectly located. We're in the center of York Region. Mm-hmm. We're 25 minutes out of Toronto, and we're right off the highway. And so from a business perspective, that is where we put our business park, is right off the highway. So I think it's strategically located for a lot of businesses to be able to open up and have that easy access route to Toronto and to east or west as well. And they can get there very quickly. And so, from that perspective, that's why, that's how we're continuing to attract a lot of the major corporations and a lot of head offices to come here. And then from a residential side, we're strategically growing in a way that allows us to keep that small town charm. And I continuously tell all the residents of our community that, even though we're growing and we're losing a little bit of that small town feel, we can maintain that charm and a bit of that feel if we feel that way. And that starts with me. And so I always say to everyone, I'm everybody's neighbor. I'm here to listen, to learn, and to be able to see if I can help in any way possible. And I think that creates a little bit of that small town feel, and we can always have that, and never really become a bigger city, even though we grow.
That's one of the things that makes me think of you as such a cool mayor, because even at Collision, when you were being interviewed by Mark Saltzman, I was watching the video again today, and I remember at the end, you're like, my number's out there, give me a call.
Yeah.
I'm here to listen to you, to talk to you and stuff. And I think that's really important, giving people that personal connection, because we feel like we're part of the growth, especially for young families that are looking for a place where they can, feel safe in a community. If they know their mayor and they know that he's reachable and they can contact him, that can go a long way, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I agree, and that's why I do it. I mean, I guess I'm one of those rare politicians that do give out their number. Some people say, "Are you nuts? What are you doing, giving out your number?" But you know what? I honestly believe that if you have that type of mentality, that type of connection with the residents of the community, I think it goes a long way to creating a really vibrant community that continues to feel like everyone is connected. And like I said, it starts from the top, and
I love that.
Yeah,
that's so important. And now let's talk more about the future of Aurora. So you've explained why it's important to have a good location. Geography is very important in the GTA. We have the Lake Ontario on the south, so everything's either going north, east, or west. Right now, we're in north central of the GTA, and we know that's very important, especially because it can connect the entire region. But what is it about the future of this region that excites you most? And then we'll start getting into some of the projects like the digital twin project.
Absolutely. Well, I think what excites me the most is, as I said, I mean, being strategically located within the GTHA, I think puts us such an advantage. And I'm always looking for what are the opportunities instead of what are the obstacles, right? What is life throwing at us that we can take those opportunities and create something out of it. Similarly, when we went through COVID, there was a there was everyone was kind of down and beaten up, and I said, let's look at what are the opportunities out of this. And so to me, from a business perspective, I was like, a lot of businesses are going to look at downsizing. We have a great location,
Mm.
so let's reach out to those businesses. Say, why don't you come move up here? You can downsize and you can be located here in the town of Aurora, as I said, strategically located. So I'm always looking for those opportunities. But I think moving to the future, there's so many things from what we're doing. From we're gonna see some increased population, but continuing to keep that small town charm. We're always adding more new events to and facilities to create more opportunities for our residents, and we're trying to move towards becoming a more digitally having a digital impact within our community to be able to provide those opportunities for our residents in the future as well, because we got to look to you know 20, 30, 40 years down the road, and what is our community going to look like. Unfortunately, in my profession, being an elected official, most elected officials only look to the next election.
Yeah.
Right? They only look 4 years down the road, so they don't really look to the future. They look to the next election. My belief is you have to stop doing that if we're actually going to create positive change in our communities. We need to start looking at 20, 30 years down the road, and we need to be making decisions that are best for the community for the future instead of just for the immediate present. Because it's those future changes that you're going to be able to make that's going to allow the community to be one of the best places to live, work, and play.
That's beautiful. Completely agree. So speaking of the future and thinking ahead and what development would look like, the direction where the town is going, how can residents feel more connected to the city, the community as it continues to grow, and the services that you provide. We'd love to learn more about this journey into the metaverse. So Aurora, and many of you already know, is launching a digital twin, and it's by a company that you may have heard of. And we, like for us, it's just it just feels like a natural fit because we're in York region. We love this area. We want to see it grow, and everything that MetaWorldX has been doing globally, we feel that we're taking a lot of the. I was just speaking to Lisa about this. We feel like we're taking a lot of those lessons learned, and now we're finally able to bring it and put it into a Canadian context. And as someone who studied urban planning in here in Canada in Montreal, this was what we always wanted to achieve. We just didn't have the technology, and today we do. So, Mayor, please tell us more about this digital twin. What is it?
Well, you know what? I'm excited, but I want to thank you and your team at MetaWorldX for the work that you guys have done with the town of Aurora as well in developing our digital twin. It's phenomenal. It's really exciting. I think that our residents, our community, once it gets launched and they get into it and they see what it's all about, they see that they're going to be able to basically have everything at their fingertips. And for me, the more informed the community is, the more engaged that they become, and the better off we are as a community with that. And so that's why being able to have people being able to access and see all of our 67 kilometers of trails, where they're located, and for it to be shown visually in a 3D type of virtual world I think is incredible. Descriptions of buildings, descriptions of heritage, description of what's going on, being able to access your counselor's information, the mayor's information, town hall, all these types of things, I think are valuable in us for the future, especially with our youth, because we know how involved they are within their computers and within social media and everything. And I think this is just another thing to allow for them to get engaged as well in the community and what we're doing, even from a development aspect. I know we've talked about development. For residents to be able to see how that development is going to occur, where it's going to occur, what it's going to look like, and to be able to picture it all visually within within that atmosphere, I think is just an incredible informational tool for everybody.
The way he speaks about this, it's like, if like one thing for sure is when we were growing up, we were looking for leaders in the municipality space, especially in Montreal, that would think similarly, but we didn't have it. Today, we're fortunate enough to have leaders like Tom, who are thinking ahead about the next generation, and how they can feel connected to the community, but understand where we were, where we are, and where we want to go. And I think it's so important to make that connection. So personally, I feel that this is one of the most exciting projects I've ever worked on. As a kid playing SimCity, to be able to now visualize, a town right here in the GTA, see what it's about, learn about its heritage, but also about the cool thing, the promenade that's coming here, the densification that's happening. Maybe you should tell us a bit more about the promenade. What is this all about?
Well, our promenade is it's essentially our downtown core, and it's part of the entire revitalization that we're trying to do. That's where you're going to see most of the intensification within our town. Obviously, we want to see a lot of mid-rise, that missing middle that everyone likes to talk about. We envision that type of growth in there. A lot of businesses, restaurants, bars, as I mentioned when I saw what's going on in Arvada. We anticipate seeing that type of growth in the area, and then obviously, what I think is probably the jewel for our town, but not just our town, but I think for the entire York region is our town square. I think it's something that is just going to be, an incredible a site and an incredible facility for not only for our residents, but I think it's going to be an attraction that you're going to see people coming here from all across the GTHA. I've had other mayors come and visit it, and when they walk through, they're blown away at what a small town like the town of Aurora is building, and what we're doing within our downtown and our promenade area.
Oh, it's phenomenal. So, as we're about to wrap up, I wanted to ask you something. Like when I walked into this office, I was blown away. I just felt this comfort, like you really personalized it. You really make someone like me feel like, okay, he really enjoys his job, and his office is something that shows his personality, shows his character. So what is it about this office that that really makes you feel like, what, I feel like I'm at home?
Well, you're right. So I did want to make it feel like home. But at the same time, I think part of that was I wanted to make it inviting. I wanted people to feel comfortable when they come in here, whether it's a resident or such as yourself coming in here. I want you to feel comfortable. I didn't want it to be a stuffy mayor's office, right? Like corporate. I wanted to have a little bit of that home feel to it, but I also wanted to make sure that it had a little bit of Aurora in here, right? And to me, it's always important about really showcasing, promoting everything that's about the town of Aurora. So like the table that we have right here is, this is made out of the trees that we used to have to take down because of the emerald ash borer. And our staff started making tables and benches. And so I made sure that one was in here in the office. The wall that is behind us is the old original wood from the Aurora Armory from 1874.
Wow.
And so we did a feature wall with that wood because, for me, it was about having things that would be in here long after I'm gone. Right.
Oh, I love it. It's amazing. And last thing, how many Auroras are there around the world?
So when I visited Colorado, I happened to see the city of Aurora, so Aurora, Colorado. So I took a picture there, and I did some research, and I found out there's 73 Auroras worldwide. And so now I'm going to make it a mission of mine to try to visit every Aurora. I don't know if I'll get to all 73, but I hope maybe one day
I absolutely hope you will. And if not, I will help you visit them in the digital world.
I like that.
Thanks so much, Mayor. This was
Thank
awesome.
you. It was awesome.
Really
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you.